made contact, and shattered.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Hello? John.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here for another ATS live stream. We're obviously covering the Idaho 4 homicides. And the last time we spoke was on Wednesday, and we recapped everything that happened since we had spoken on Monday. So today I'm just going to recap everything that's happened in the news and with law enforcement and with the case since we spoke on Wednesday. So that's what today's going to be. It's going to be the highlights of everything that has taken place since we last spoke. So even though it was only like 2 days ago, a lot has taken place, as well as some new stuff coming out this morning. So actually, let me just switch my screen up real quick and just read through something that I found this morning, and then I will talk to chat and play the pre-recorded stuff. Okay, guys? So Idaho murders, border authorities monitoring for Hyundai Elantra that was near scene of the quadruple homicide. Before I continue reading, can everyone hear me? And good morning, Moon River and Delana, Ashley Oaks, Jackie, Mellow77, Princess Megan Elsa. It's good to see you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Mark Klein, good to see you. Okay, good. They can hear me. Thank you, Rick Rogers. So it says ports of entry along the U.S.-Canadian border are monitoring for a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra that was in the immediate area of the home where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered last month. So they just pretty much are saying our ports of entry out the way are aware of it and will be keeping an eye out for it. So that was just a little something, pretty much saying that it's typical protocol. And Canada works well with the U.S. law enforcement partners to ensure safety and security at the borders. And then the other thing I wanted to share quick was this Daily Mail article that just came out. And say what you want about Daily Mail, but they do get information. And then we can decide whether or not we want to trust it or not. But here, they have a little interview with the chief of police from Moscow. So this is going to drive me crazy because I actually have the news media clip where they speak about the door being open that I was going to play for you guys. So this just makes the whole thing a little bit more strange. So exclusive. Moscow police chief admits he did not know the front door to the house where 4 University of Idaho students were murdered was left open for hours. I'm not sure where that came from, he said. The police chief where 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death appeared unaware of the report that the front door of the house was allegedly wide open hours after the killings. Speaking to Daily Mail on Thursday at the city's Christmas parade, Police Chief James Fry said the report, in which a neighbor noticed the door was wide open around 8:30 a.m. the morning after, was news to him. Fry could neither confirm nor deny whether the door was in fact left open. It was previously stated the house had no visible signs of a break-in. I'm not even sure where that came from, to be honest, Fry said. He told Daily Mail he could neither confirm nor deny whether the door was in fact left open. I don't even know how to answer that one. If I did, I would probably comment on that, but I don't know the answer whether the door was open. The victims, 3 women and 1 man, were found November 13th. Okay, so this is just given the background information that we already know. This is just footage from the parade. Like it doesn't even have his interview saying this stuff. So let me play this.
And it's just kind of a time to reflect on a lot of different things with it's just another big community event that we do here. And, it's good. It's good.
You can see a lot of people have, hung signs and put stuff up on the tree to commemorate, the victims and such. So.
Yeah, we just need to not forget, been tragedy in our community, and we owe it to our the victims and the families to keep working. But there's a lot of investigators still working, but we're out here trying to keep people safe as we can and have a good time. So.
Then it just shows them Carolyn and a little bit of the parade. It doesn't have him on camera saying the things that I read out loud, though, like saying things like, that's news to me, blah, 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 blah. So I was upset that they didn't have him on camera saying that. But regardless, he apparently said yesterday at the parade, he could neither confirm nor deny whether the door was in fact left open. I don't even know the answer to that one. If I did, I would probably comment on that, but I don't know the answer, whether the door was open. So this just came out 7:38 in the morning. And that's it. Not sure where that came from about the door being open. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that he's just kind of covering to protect information that they know? Or what are you guys thinking there? And good morning. Heather said he seems like he wants everything to go back like nothing ever happened. I almost feel like he's living in like a false sense of reality, thinking that like, oh, everything will be good once we do this parade or whatever. Again, I don't know. I honestly think he's working as hard as he can. I think that this is way in over his head. You know what I do like about this police chief is he had no problem asking for assistance in this investigation. Yeah, Tony said he seems to want to push everything aside. And it's like, I'm going to show you his clip from last night too, talking about the vehicle and some of the other important updates. And I just feel like sort of along the same lines of what you're saying, that he wants to push it under the rug. I just think he means well. I do think that. I'm not sure exactly how much of this investigation he's taking part of, or I don't know, guys. Do you think that he's just attempting damage control? And I mean, can you blame him? I mean, I think that this town has no idea what to do right now. Like, they don't know how to handle this, even on a level to bring like spirits up or camaraderie or what's the word? You know what I mean? For the community. Hello, Kib Kitty. It's good to see you. So glad you're here. And thanks for joining me from CJ's channel. Good morning, Joe, and everyone else. Okay, so let me just start with something else I wanted to read too before we get started with the clips that I've put together. Hold on, let me see if it's in my notes or if that was it. I think that that's it, guys. I think those were the two things that I wanted to read and start off. And then now I think that we can just get into the pre-recorded clips. And again, these are highlights from the media, from law enforcement, from things that have taken place since the last time we spoke, which was on Wednesday. So it's just sort of like how ESPN plays the highlights of the games. These are just going to be the highlights of the updates, okay? So I can't thank you guys enough. Please hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. And let me just start playing these clips, and then I'll pause and we can chat. And then I want to play the Court TV segment that happened the other day that I haven't watched yet. So I'll watch it for the first time with you guys, okay? So, yeah, I agree. Jeanette said, protecting the university's image is the name of the game. It's the whole economy. It's true. Thank you so much, Jules, for becoming a member. I really appreciate your support. Joe's laughing at my ESPN analogy. All right, let's get going, guys. And good morning, everyone. And again, thanks for being here. Hit the thumbs up. True Crime Fallacy says, I think he's trying his best to keep information from leaking out and at the same time trying to create a sense of normalcy for people in Moscow. I think you're right. That's what I mean by, like, I feel like he means well. Like, he has good intentions. I think he puts on this smile to the camera and to everybody, but I have a feeling behind closed doors, I'm sure he's shed some tears over this. And he's shed tears on camera talking about this case. So, we give our support to them. I hope that they have something solid going on behind closed doors. What do you guys think?
So we have information of a white vehicle that was in the area either during the time frame of the homicide or around the time frame of the homicide, and we are just wanting to talk to the individuals who are in that vehicle. They may have some valuable information for us, and we're looking for a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai Elantra. So any assistance you can give us, anybody that owns one, anybody that knows of someone who owns one or may have been driving one, if you could get a hold of us through our tip line or call us directly, we'd appreciate that.
And I included the tip line on the screen for anybody who has any information. Also, I'd like to point out the fact that he's about to say that this white vehicle, the information about it did not come from that body cam footage, which is blowing my mind, especially since there's been hundreds and hundreds of people going through that body cam footage looking for a white car, pointing out the white car, etc. So am I right in understanding that the update they said last night was that the Elantra isn't in the body cam footage? Like, that's not where that information came from. Just want to make sure that I'm repeating that correctly, because I have Brian Enton's tweet. Moscow, Idaho police say the white Hyundai they are looking for is not the same white car seen in police body camera footage from the alcohol incident in the field about half a block from the house where the murders happened. So if it's not the vehicle in the body cam footage that everyone's kind of been looking at, is it in the body cam footage at all? Like, I know that there's a specific vehicle in there that they're saying, no, that's not what we're honing in on. But do you think that it's in the body cam footage at all? And now remember, we don't have the full body cam footage, which I don't get. Like, why wouldn't you give the public the whole footage if you're saying that it has nothing to do with the crime? What if we did see this white Hyundai in that footage? You know what I mean?
So the body cam image that is out there from an officer who was on a call with alcohol offense does have a white vehicle in it. This is not the vehicle that we are looking for. So we wanted to clear that up with all news media. So the tip line now will go to an FBI call center. We've done that because we started receiving many tips, and that call center can categorize those, and they can send those tips back to investigators so we can follow up and make sure that we continue with our investigation.
We don't know what they've done. They know where to find him, though. And I would imagine along the way at some point in time, if they think that there is some kind of connection to this crime, these crimes, because we can't just call it a crime. It's multiple. We're talking about a multiple homicide, each individual victim. So with that said, they're going to go through this individual's social media. They're going to go through their phone records, perhaps, and see if there's any kind of connectivity with any of the direct connectivity with the victims, and also any of the peripherals that are associated with that. In addition to that, if they have any kind of unknown biological evidence at the scene, this individual will be first on the list to eliminate. And that's my big question here. Has this individual been eliminated from a biological standpoint relative to connectivity of any of the individuals or to the scene itself?
So he's referring to the hoodie guy, and he's saying, they may have cleared him just based on the fact that they have biological evidence that, doesn't link him at all to the crime. So he's just curious about what form of evidence or what means did they clear him on? Is it just digital? Is it just his phone pinging here? Was he seen on camera traveling back to his parents' house? All those are important questions, obviously. And there was something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember. So let me just press play. And I love Joseph Scott Morgan. I always try to grab his clips. So if anyone ever sees him on something, send me the link and I'll clip his little segment.
The tips and leads have just shown us that car was.
And now look at, has anyone ever seen Robbie Johnson before? I'm doing this clipping and editing last night. And again, that Joseph Scott Morgan clip was late last night. So what I've done is I've put the latest clips in the beginning of the stream, like the latest information, and then it'll just go back towards the last time we spoke. So who is Robbie Johnson? Like, I was like, are they just introducing another person? Like, no. We need to talk to either Aaron Snell from Idaho State Police, the Moscow chief we just seen. Like, why are they introducing another person to speak out?
Was there in that immediate area. So whoever was in that car may know who might have owned that car. Any of that information is extremely valuable to us right now because it could be really significant in solving this case.
How old are you guys?
Police say it was for underage drinking citations in the neighborhood.
The silent yellow line is not an admission of guilt. It's just saying that you acknowledge the crime date there, okay? Have a safe restaurant, man.
Police also tell us a white car seen in that footage is not the car in question now being sought. They stress key information is being withheld to protect the integrity of the investigation.
The information that we're giving is all about solving the crime. So knowing that we're not releasing all that information, know that we're keeping safe the information that we need to find who did this.
So she said all the information we're releasing are things that we need to help solve the crime. But yet they won't give us that whole body cam footage. And that incident 100% could be 100% not related. I get that. But it's the neighborhood the night of, right? Like, show us the neighborhood. Let us go through it every single second. Like, we've already gone through that body cam footage that they've given us this week. And they've given us, what, 2 minutes? Not even. It's completely dark. Can barely see anything, but yet we're combing through it and we're trying to find anything and everything. So it's interesting that they just won't give us that whole body cam footage. I mean, blur the minors' faces out, do what you got to do. But like, if that's the neighborhood right around the time of the death, like maybe we could see something that they haven't. I mean, I get it. They're FBI, they can enhance and all that. They see things, but I don't know.
Now, between 2011 and 2013, Hyundai Elantras were extremely popular with well over 500,000 vehicles sold. It's not clear how many white models may be in this area. And we just got an update from Moscow police telling us that there are so many calls and tips about white Elantras. They are now diverting the tip line and directing calls to the FBI call center. Meantime, the family of victim Kaylee Goncalves has told News Nation that they have retained a lawyer, and that's reportedly to force police to give them more information.
Now, here's my thing. I've been hearing from, even law enforcement agents who are saying, like, during our investigation, like, our goal is, justice. Like, we have one goal in mind, and we're going to get the victims justice. Do they owe the family every little detail that they're asking? I mean, I'm certain this lawyer will end up probably informing the family, like, you're entitled to this, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that'll probably be made more clear to them, because I think even the lawyer is going to say, like, this could hurt your daughter's case, though, if you do this or that, So I don't know. But what was I going to say? Roll, I agree with you. Joseph Scott Morgan is the best commentator on Law and Crime Channel. I agree. Totally. And there's something else okay. So I know a lot of useless information, including a lot of song lyrics, etc. I do know a little bit about cars too, and I was hoping that chat or replay listeners could help me out with this. So they're talking about how many of these Hyundais are out there. And remember, 2011 to 2013, sometimes I forget like what year it is. Like, guys, we're going into 2023 in a little bit, right? So this car is a decade old, little over. Here's the thing that I know about cars. Hyundai's not the best quality. Really good value. They'll get you where you got to go. Perfect car for a college kid, for a first car. That's great. But from what I know about Hyundais, they have a really good warranty, but only lasts until 100,000 miles. And you know why? Because that's when everything starts falling apart on these cars. I'm sorry if anyone owns one or whatever, but this is just what I know about the vehicle. So where I'm going is, I believe that it'll be easier to kind of locate and find this vehicle because of the fact that, it's a decade old. It's probably got over 100,000 miles or close to. It's gonna start that car, once it hits a certain lifespan, like they don't like keep going with it usually. Like people just get rid of it. They get another Hyundai that has another great warranty and they keep going with it. So what I'm thinking is, since this car is already like a decade, a little bit over, it might be easier for them to kind of find this make and model because, it's not like a Honda or a Toyota that lasts and lasts and lasts. And so people keep them around till 200 to 250,000 miles. Like, I think that this car, once it hits that lifespan, people are just done with it usually. And you guys let me know your opinion on that. So I'm just thinking, like, maybe it'll be easier to find this car because of the fact that, like, there's not going to be that many in that year going around because people have already gotten a new one or whatever, because those ones just are not as reliable. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. And good morning on the West Coast. Hi, Karen. Good to see you. Allison, good to see you too. Brittany's understanding me. Joe said they are not good cars, I'll just say. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is they're perfect for like the first vehicle or for college car, But a 2011 to 2013, like I'm looking out here and like, yes, I see Hyundais and stuff, but like that year, they kind of just trickle out. You know what I mean? Do you remember when that car did, they did like a body style that almost looked like a Jaguar? And when they were trying to like sell it, they were like, it looks like a Jaguar. And it's like, no, it's a Hyundai. Well, that body style like faded out because once those cars hit 100,000 miles, people were done with them. And then the company made a new one. You know what I mean? I saw that in the Facebook group, Doug, and on your live stream last night. That was funny. Yeah, I wonder that too, Honeybee. Wonder if it's registered on campus parking. Yeah, they are cheap cars. And, like I said, they're only going to last a certain amount. So it might be easier to narrow down. Hi, Kimberly. It's good to see you. I hope you have a great holiday. Okay. Carrying on, now that we've talked about the car. I don't know. I'm not sure about the commuters, but I have faith that they'll be able to locate this car easier. Jules says, I know zero about cars. Well, I have a younger brother. That's the only reason why. I played Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars a lot of years, guys.
Nicole?
All right, Nancy Lou, thank you for that.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation Now.
It seems from the information we know that there was actual information from an interview about this vehicle. And that may.
So this is retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffinduffer. I'm sure you guys recognize her voice. She's claiming that they know about this vehicle through an interview. Now, this came out last night. This was after they came out saying that the vehicle in the body cam footage, the white one that everyone's been pointing at and looking at, is not the one that they're looking for. So I don't know where Jennifer has gotten her information from. I don't know if she has sources or, what, but she is claiming, which was why I titled the live stream this, that the information about this vehicle came from someone's interview.
From the information we know, that there was actual information from an interview about this vehicle. And that makes it very interesting because whenever you get information from people and what they see, to have it be this focused as being Hyundai Elantra makes me think they perhaps corroborated the fact that what this individual saw actually came up on a camera view as well.
So, and that's the other thing too, is she's saying that they're very particular and specific about white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. You know, like they're not coming out saying we're looking for a white four-door sedan, you know? So it is interesting how she is saying very specific, or that she thinks it's interesting that it's very specific. And Wendy is saying police wouldn't give that information. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where she heard that, but I did think that that was interesting. Tony said, makes me think someone knows who the car belongs to, but they aren't saying, in my opinion. Definitely. I mean, what is going on for them to hone in on this, you know, if it's not in the body cam footage? Thank you, Riddler, for becoming a member. So happy to have you here on the team, and I really appreciate the extra support for the channel. All I ask you guys to do is thumbs up the videos, but I really appreciate everyone joining and supporting. So Caroline said if they interviewed the used car salesman who sold the Hyundai to college kids, they will be chasing down little old ladies who only drove to church on Sunday, right? Oh my gosh, your comments crack me up. Corey, how you doing? Remember those days of being stuck in the snow? Oh, geez. I still get stuck in the snow. Actually, this is the first year I have a mid-size SUV, so I'm super excited. I'm usually driving my 2-door Honda Accord that's like a decade old, so it should be a good winter.
I think the time of death has been determined accurate within particular parameters. And again, that would have been determined by the ME and be part of the autopsy. And I believe those
that's very interesting, Jessie Lynn. And I've noticed, but I just haven't mentioned it because it's a touchy subject. But I have noticed some of the families saying that they've spoken to this family and they've spoken to that family, but they haven't reached out to this family. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to judge too hard on all that, but I do think that it has been interesting to hear the certain families say that they've spoken to so-and-so, but they haven't gotten a chance to spoke to this person and all that. It's just very complicated, I'm sure. And, but that whole element of it is just very interesting to me still. You know, I just don't know how anyone would ever handle something like this, you know? So I don't know what the right way or the wrong way to do things is, but I have honed in on which parents have said they've spoken to this one or that one. But right, it is interesting, but it's just a complicated portion of everything, right? Brittany says they are common, cheap, buy here, pay here, car, place, car. I see some creators saying this case is going cold and asking why there isn't a reward. As long as tips are coming in, it's not cold and no need to offer reward. It seems like they're overwhelmed with tips.
Autopsies have been concluded, possibly toxology results are still out, but I believe they have even started to come in at this point. So yes, I think that the specific time frame they have has been narrowed down based on lividity, based on what was in the stomach and how far it had been digested, and that the ME made an approximation, and that's why they have this time frame. This is one of these cases that there's too much information. Sometimes it's difficult to solve a case because you just don't have enough clues. In this case, there is so much information to go through. The web of individuals connected to the victims, the DNA evidence, and that crime scene, which would be so difficult. It took them such a long time to even finish compiling and extracting all that information, all of the canvassing that had to be done, the video, the digital information. it is so much information, it's drawing out the amount of time. So the answer is no, I don't believe they have their suspect yet.
To look at it, you don't want to miss any.
So this guy's a legal expert. I think he's a lawyer. He's not an investigator like Coffindoffer or even a death investigator like Joseph Scott, but I still found some of his information interesting, so I included him as well. Good morning, Crime Stories Obsessed UK. Hope everything's going well over there across the pond, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Somebody asked a question. Oh, why don't the four families work together? I don't know, guys. It's just, it's complicated, I'm sure. You know, even though they want answers, I wondered myself, why isn't so-and-so asking so-and-so what they know, you know? But it's just like, well, I mean, what are you going to do? Call them up and just be like, hey, you know, it's just, it's awkward. It's not a good situation. It's hard to say what I would do, you know? Good morning, Titanium Build. It's good to see you.
Clues that may be in a Facebook post or some sort.
But did you guys hear Jennifer Coffindoffer say there, and this was last night reported, that she just doesn't think that they have a suspect yet? Like, I was sort of stunned. Like, I thought she was going to say, like, I think they have somebody in mind and they have way more than what we have. And she has said stuff like they have more information than we have. But I was sort of shocked to hear her say that she doesn't think they have a suspect. Because, yeah, Jesse, I felt the same way. I was starting to think law enforcement was closing in on someone.
Sort of computer forensic information that may be gleaned in social media, and it has to be looked at, especially when you're investigating the deaths of 4 individuals in a university community where people that age are posting things online. There's also security camera footage that has to be looked.
Good morning, C-Dub. So Tony and C-Dub agree with me that they think that they do have a suspect and they're honing in. And Alicia agrees with Jennifer Coffindoffer. I don't think they have a suspect either. Yikes. Yeah, it's just interesting. What else do you guys think in chat? Do you think that they have a suspect? So Rick Rogers asked, I have a question. Do they have cameras or any video security cameras in the house? Not that I know of, which is shocking. I hope they can find hair samples of the killer at the crime scene, hair sheds, especially during hard physical activity like being in a struggle, right? And what's this about the HVAC people being at the crime scene the other day in the house? What are they doing? Going through like the what are they called? Vents. The vents in the house and like trying to gather, maybe something fell through there, like, you know, blood mixture or maybe blood swept away someone's hair or something, you know what I mean? So I don't know why they were there, but I thought that that was interesting. Alicia saw them there. Delana says she believes they know way more. Pam thinks they have a suspect in mind. They were fixing the heating. Air ducts, Mark, thank you. I know. How, Alicia, how would there not be something underneath the nails, you know? Okay. Fixing the air ducts, in my opinion. Why, though? Amanda thinks they know who the suspect is. Corey says maybe they are very secret about any suspect. They had floor vents. I could see that. Oh, okay, interesting. So then, I mean, something could go through those vents that they might want to go through there and gather. I mean, think about it, guys. I mean, crime scenes, they go into drains. You know what I mean? Like they've gone through drains and found stuff that people have washed down there. You know, so everything's got to get combed through.
through, but it takes manpower to do so. And you're going to have everyone who is involved there, the FBI, the local law enforcement, and those helping out, really putting in the effort and time and effort to look through this. And you're going to have forensic analysis and technicians who are skilled at looking at computer analysis and video footage.
No, LibCom, those were, I believe, federal agents. Some guys left the house late last night in regular clothing, and they were covering their faces. I think those were federal agents. I could just tell, like, by the build of them, and FBI people and other federal agents wear civilian clothes all the time, and they're usually strapped underneath their pant leg or whatever.
In order to really narrow things down here. And it's going to take time, effort, and, as Jennifer was talking about the volume of evidence, that is going to cause some delay because you have to look through it and you have to be careful when you're doing so. So I think that it's going to be a real taxing effort here on law enforcement in that area as they look at the electronic evidence or data that they're receiving, and also interviewing people and talking to people and doing that sort of old school sleuthing as they follow leads to try to solve this crime.
These were just some drunk kids out and about, and they were cited. That's all I know about it. How about you, Jennifer?
That's all that's come out. But make no mistake, those younger individuals were interviewed. They're leaving no stone unturned, and they are interviewing anyone and everyone that could have possibly seen anything. And I think that's the frustrating part, right? This is boots on the ground. This is the type of investigation that you really need qualified and skilled interviewers. And they've been out doing their interviews, yet we don't have a clue as to a subject yet. And that's frustrating, of course, when here we are down the road all these weeks and we still really don't know much.
Can you imagine? So these kids got cited for underage drinking and out in public drunk. Can you imagine being like one of the parents of one of these kids and being like, just watching the news and seeing your kid like get a ticket that they didn't know about or something because they're at school, and you're like, is that our kid? Or the kid like getting busted just because his like image was put out on the news or whatever, and his parents are like, did you get a ticket?
It seems from the information we know that there was actual information from an interview.
University of Idaho students and police are.
So I just reclipped Jennifer Coffendorfer, former FBI special agent, claiming that she feels that this information about the white Elantra came from an interview. So again, I haven't seen that confirmed by law enforcement, but I thought that that was interesting, especially since they've come out and said that the white vehicle in the body cam footage isn't the one we're looking for. So BT26, is that little Johnny? That would be my mom, right? It's like you thought you got away with hiding something and then your image is out on the news.
Starting to receive toxicology reports on the victim's hair, fibers, blood, and DNA, according to law enforcement, all considered critical evidence from the crime scene. The case remains unsolved. Police still have not found a murder weapon or named a suspect, frustrating at least one of the families of the victims. The father of Kaylee Gonsalves is speaking out, but investigators saying today they are trying to provide information while protecting the integrity of the investigation. Saying in a statement, "We firmly believe speculation and unvetted information is a disservice to the victims, their families, and our community." The stabbing deaths of these 4 students has created turmoil at the university and in the quiet community of Moscow that has...
Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were truly all one of a kind. They all lit up any room they walked into and were gifts to this world. I just want you to know that I will always love you and miss you forever.
And Jake,
that was at the memorial, read by a pastor, and that was a little segment that the surviving roommates wrote about the victims.
Throughout this investigation, there has been talk that Kaylee Gonsalves may have had a stalker. Well, police came out today and said they looked into an incident in October, and they can confidently say it is not related to these murders. However, they are still looking into the possibility that Kaylee may have had a stalker.
So what is going on with this stalker thing? Because they just said that they had spoken to somebody and they believed it was an isolated incident. There was just these guys at a grocery store trying to pick up a girl. And then things got walked back about the stalker. And then all of a sudden this lady just said now, but they said that they found no evidence of the stalker, but that they're still looking into there being a stalker or whatever she said. Hang on, let me replay that. But it's like they're still leaving the door open to it being a possibility.
That Kaylee may have had a stalker. The stabbing deaths of these 4 students has created turmoil at the university and in the quiet community of Moscow that has...
Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan were truly all one of a kind. They all lit up any room they walked into and were gifts to this world. I just want you to know that I will always love you and miss you forever.
And Jake, throughout this investigation, there has been talk that Kaylee Gonsalves may have had a stalker. Well, police came out today and said they looked into an incident in October, and they can confidently say it is not related to these murders. However, they are still looking into the possibility that Kaylee may have had a stalker.
So it's like leaving the door open, like maybe there's somebody else out there that we haven't spoken to, because the people that we spoke to who we think are the stalker had nothing to do with the murders, but we are still keeping it open as there being a possibility. The heck? Interesting, because chat is saying a few things about the stalker thing. I think they're saying there may be another stalker. Yeah. Alicia said, I think it's a neighbor. Brittany said, I think stalker was online personally. Could be, for sure. Yeah, Jesse, best ways to sell newspapers. Yeah, right, Karen? Like, I'm glad I'm not the only one who's a little bit confused there. Like, have we narrowed this stalker situation down? Like, is it off the table? Because the only thing that I'm almost certain on right now isn't much, obviously, but I'm almost feeling like what I do feel for the most part is this is a white male. That's the only thing I kind of have as like a strong hunch. I don't know if it's a student or not a student, a neighbor. I don't know. I feel like they're very familiar with a knife and they're very familiar with the neighborhood, and it's a white male. Everything else I'm so unsure about, and I still think that there's a very, very small chance it could be even a female. I just don't know with the knife and 4 people, especially Ethan. Right, Roll? That's sort of like the point of being a stalker, right? You can have a stalker and never know who it is. Creepy. People are agreeing with the white male analogy. And Pappy, why do you think that? I'm just curious. Oh, come on, Dana. It's a hired hit by a parent. Come on. Can we just get Dana Carter out of here?
Moscow 77.
The videos show officers on patrol in Moscow, Idaho.
Hello, Seattle, Ryan. Good to see you.
Taking out 21. Yeah.
In one video, officers are seen issuing citations to 3 teens for underage drinking. An apartment complex across the street from the victim's home is visible, just steps away from the officers. Investigators say the people...
We have freedom of opinion here, and I think that we have one of the most openly minded chats and opinions here, but we're not going to go down the angle of accusing victims in this case, and that the parents and the families are victims in this case. So for whoever, I don't know where that comment went, our opinion's not welcome here. That's just not an accurate statement at all. And I think that you'll see that we're very, very open to it. Yeah, exactly, Delana. I want to know information about the mail. That's something that sort of slipped through the cracks ever since this body cam footage came out, right? I wonder if that was the purpose of releasing this body cam footage. you can certainly speculate stuff like that all you like, Smooth Trucking, but just not here on my channel because we don't do victim blaming here. So if you want to do that like on your platforms and, you know, start a channel and talk about how you think the parents hired this as a hit. All right. But yeah, Delana, that is such a good point. And it's like Steve, Kaylee's father mentioned, you know, that they had to sign off on authority for the law enforcement to do something with mail related, post office. So that is very interesting and what's going on there.
People in the videos have been cleared, and the incidents have nothing to do with the murders. But they released the video hoping someone familiar with the area is able to spot something, anything out of place.
Well, you know what, Smooth Trucking? By having your own channel means you can dictate how you want the discussions to lean towards. While I have open discussions here and I'm all about that, I've made it very clear that I will not victim blame. So no, I'm not censoring other people's opinions. And if you think that that's censoring other people's opinions, then you are more than welcome to leave. You have the freedom to leave, right? I'm not forcing you here. And for you to bring up a political aspect into all this is just, it really says a lot about you. No one here is getting political. Not sure why you think that you know my political affiliation. You don't know it. And actually, I don't support the two-party system at all anyways. So you accusing me of being part of that party, part of any of the two parties, if anyone thinks that, you're wrong. So now everyone knows where I stand.
I mean, that is so eerie to see. I mean, I get that that incident police say has nothing to do with the murders, but standing where I'm standing, like I'm just looking a half a block from where I am, exactly where this video is. I know exactly what those buildings are. They're right here. And to think that the police were so close to this house, and I know it's really likely just coincidence.
And I don't agree with coincidences. Like, I know that Brian is saying, like, yes, we know that this situation had nothing to do with the murders, but I guess it's just coincidence. And it's like, I feel like even if those kids aren't, you know, obviously I don't think that they're involved in the murders, but did they see something? Were they drinking around the murderer who was drinking? You know what I mean? Like, was it something like they were rubbing shoulders with somebody who was about to go do something and these kids had no idea, but maybe they saw something that they didn't realize they saw, you know? So, and yes, Vanessa, the trolls are out in this case. I know, you're right. I shouldn't bother arguing. And I don't care, Ellie. You can leave. They've said like unsubbed like 30 times in chat. Another troll. Oof. All right, guys. Let's carry on with this because we have important things to discuss. And this is justice that needs to be had for these people. I thought putting on subscriber mode for 11 minutes was good enough to keep the trolls out, but I guess not. Yeah, that's true. What a mess. It is going to be hard to get an honest recollection of events from mainly drunk students. And remember, Aaron Snell, the Idaho State Police officer for the media, their public service or public announcements officer or whatever it's called. Sorry, guys, I'm all over the place because of trolls. But he stated himself, he's like, the investigation is taking a little bit longer. We had to leave the county to visit and do interviews that were out of this county because of the Thanksgiving vacation and all that. So things were just delayed in that aspect, which is crazy because think about all the interviews they have to do for this. Thank you. Yes, Allison, thank you so much. Thank you all for being here with us. Please give me a like. It's much appreciated.
And they were far enough away that maybe they couldn't hear anything. But I mean, they were so close around the time that these murders were happening.
Yeah, and Brian brings up a good point there. They were so close, and the cops were so close right here too, to where the murders were happening. So release the whole body cam footage and let us all comb through it because there's, you know, what if there is something? Good morning, CDT. You're just in time. You missed all the trolls. The kids may have seen that car they are looking for. Exactly. And what if the kids, you know how sometimes you see something and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I remember, blah, blah, blah. So what if these kids that are in this body cam footage saw the whole footage and were able to, you know, remember something or recollect a specific detail or something, you know, and the body cam footage helped them do that. So Nana Sue said, have you seen the lights go on and off in this video? Why do you call them kids? They're adults. My bad, Christy B. Maybe because I'm 34 and they're 20. So this is just, I'm just playing the video because I haven't played it on here. And this is, I turned the sound off.
It could mean that we have some potential witnesses here, or this could be the vehicle that the offender used. Either one of those things is a real possibility, and both of them make it very important.
It seems like a lot of people are surprised that now, like he said, it could be a witness. Like this vehicle might not be the murderer's car, you know, it could just be a witness that they want to speak with, which I'm confused. They need to come out and say something like that too. Like, remember they, CDT brought this up yesterday, how in the Summer Wells case, when they were looking for the red truck, they made a point, law enforcement, to say, we don't believe that this person is a suspect, but we think that they might have been a witness to something that day, and we just want to talk to this red truck. We've seen it here in this footage, or however they got that info. Same here in this case. Maybe they should come out and say, we don't believe this white car is a suspect, but we think that they might have some information and we'd like to talk to them. You know, like maybe something to kind of, but at the same time, nobody came forward with the red truck in the other case. So are they going to come forward with the white car in this case if you say something like that? I don't know. Delana said, I wonder if they found something that someone sent her through the mail, or if there was blood on some mail, maybe. I know my head is everywhere about the mail thing. Was it from a stalker? Was it something from the school even? Like, let's say, again, this is just hypothetical and just speculative, but let's say she reported a stalking incident to the school or something, you know, and the school was aware of it or something. So what if this piece of mail is the school following up with her or something? Again, I don't know. My head is everywhere. When Steve mentioned that they needed to sign off on something for that was mail related, that has been lost in the cracks since this body cam footage came out. And what was that mail relation? She probably had a PO box and they needed some sort of permission to collect the mail. True. I mean, my head's everywhere with it. What are the odds the killer is in a different state or still close by? I know. Libcom said it's the offender. So you think the white car is the murderer? And that's the other thing, is who's stunned if that's the case, who is stunned that he left in a car? Like, so many of us, I even went down the rabbit hole of like, did he take a bike trail? You know? But if we're just thinking that like he just hopped in his car, then wow. Then that makes you wonder too, like, so this FBI agent who's speaking right now, he's about to talk about eventually the risk factor in this crime. And let's say that this murderer went there in a car. You know, a lot of crimes, especially murders that take place, not only are they males, but alcohol is usually involved. And you can even look that up. It's like a reliable statistic that murders will have alcohol involved. So let's say this murderer was drunk. He risked driving there drunk? Like, is that what we're going to think if this murderer was in that car and they were drunk? So we're talking about risk factor. You know, what? I don't know. My head's everywhere there. So let's listen to this. I think anything is possible at this point. I just love reading your comments, CDT, but I know it was responding to somebody else. Who drives their own fresh white car to a murder? They would have been drenched in blood. I know, right? But then at the same time, where were there? you know, they could easily keep clothes or change of clothes in the car. I don't know, guys. Getaway driver. Ooh, that's interesting theory. Maybe the rideshare person saw a white Hyundai in the area. Lots of possibilities. Yep. Have we heard anything about the jacket they found? Have not. In fact, all I've heard about the jacket is just through chats like this. Also sounds like multiple persons in the car. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I thought I was reading into it too much. Delana. Because at one point they said the occupants of this vehicle. And like, I know that occupants can still mean singular, like in this example, but I was just wondering, like, do they mean it in the plural aspect? So people are wondering about the jacket. Apparently there was a jacket found or something, guys. Again, I don't have much information on it. I'm sure chat can maybe catch you guys up. CDT said, I'm very anxious to see if anyone is going to claim it as them, right? I have the jacket video bookmark on our Twitter. Okay, let me play this, CDT, and I'll try and pull that up. I'm all miscombobulated today, CDT, because the trolls came in and they were lighting a fire under me, and I needed you to settle me.
What does it mean to clear somebody?
It doesn't mean really anything. I mean, the police can say that this person's cleared, that person's cleared, but it's not a get out of jail free card. It's not like they can't turn around tomorrow and say, you know what, here's a pair of handcuffs for you. So
I forgot to put the law enforcement officer's name on the screen here, but this is on, I believe, Fox, I want to say. And he's speaking with that FBI agent. And this guy, I know it wasn't a federal level, but he was law enforcement also. And he's pretty much saying, like, you know, just because they say that they're not related to the crime at this time does not mean they're cleared. You know, like at any point you can get pulled back in and you can be put back up on the table as a possibility, you know? So everything on the right of the screen you will see are the things that law enforcement has come out and told us are unrelated to the murders. So obviously it's going to be the boyfriends or the ex-boyfriends, however you want to refer to them, of the girls, the private ride home, the red Mustang that was found in the town that had forensics going through, the grub truck hoodie guy, everyone and anyone on the 911 call that day, the skin dog that was around that area, and the coyote incident that was also around that area apparently are unrelated. The surviving roommates have nothing to do with this apparently, and those out-of-state murders that happened with that couple sleeping in their beds was unrelated to this. So just want to explain the graphic up on the screen while I look for that Twitter thing that is bookmarked from CDT. So let me play this and just know that this is law enforcement retired speaking.
a lot of times, listen, the police department knows a lot more that's going on than the general public, and sometimes they say things to keep everyone at ease, including the suspect or suspects in a case like this. And it's not unusual for them to do it.
Well, the fact that he left the country, you have to look at when he bought those tickets. I mean, is this something his family planned for many months, or is this something that happened just at the last minute? That's what's critically important. If the family actually lives here and they have plans to return here.
Now, the graphic on the screen has been floating around the Facebook groups and on Reddit involving this case. Do you think that there's something in his pocket? Again, I see something. I don't want to obviously come out and say 100%, but I found the image interesting and I wanted to know what you guys thought as well. And for those on replay, comment down below. Do you see something strange in Hoodie Guy's jacket here? Again, as far as we know right now, this gentleman has nothing to do with the crime coming from law enforcement, but it's still something like they're saying. It just because they've said at this time they're not involved does not mean that they're off the table 100% and definitely.
I don't think it was such a mistake to let him go because they obviously didn't have enough to keep him if he is even a suspect. Well,
and like he just said, you know, if they let him go, if this rumor of him being in Africa is true. Again, it's just a rumor. They must not have had much on him, you know? So you can't just hold someone because you think like you were weird on this footage. You're sticking around, you know? He can still be pulled in at any point. And, you know, a lot of people are not thinking that he's involved in this crime. A lot of people at first did think so because obviously he looked suspicious on the camera footage at the grub truck. But you know, a lot of people are not leaning towards him anymore. So I don't know. Tony said could possibly be a knife or a cell phone. Yeah, I mean, it really could be anything. We don't know. Could be a bottle of alcohol. I don't think it was this guy, Alex said, right? Maybe it's his cell phone. Right. We just don't know. And again, like the talking heads on TV are saying about him, you know, there must have been a reason why they cleared him, you know, whether it was digital forensics or biological forensics, like they didn't link him there, you know, so who knows? So CDT said, in my opinion, I think it's going to be someone we've not heard about. And that would be highly likely with all the distractions that are being placed in front of us, right? Like to look over here, here's some body cam footage. That way we don't know that like they actually have eyes over here or something, you know? I guess it's just wishful thinking.
Well, I mean, basically, we're looking for generally somebody who is probably a white male who's in his 20s or 30s, somebody who's familiar with that area, somebody who has freedom of movement late at night, you know, into the early hours of the morning, somebody who I believe either had some kind of relationship.
Did you hear him say someone who had freedom of movement in the middle of the night and early hours? And I thought that that was such a good little like angle to look at it too, because it's not going to be somebody like my fiance who has like a 22-month-old at home and, you know, the fiance living with them and, you know, where are you going in the middle of the night type of thing. Like this guy is not going to be somebody who's, I don't know. I mean, this is this guy's opinion. It's somebody who's able to move around at night without being questioned by anyone, you know? So I thought that that was a good little tidbit in this guy's opinion to kind of think about that. Yeah, Brittany, isn't that every college kid though? Exactly. But it kind of makes you think, okay, so it's not going to be somebody who's a family man, maybe. Again, maybe it is, maybe it will be, but this guy is saying from his experience and his opinion, it's not going to be somebody who would have a wife wake up and be like, where did you go last night? You know what I mean? And then the wife goes to the police and says, the night of the murders, my husband, blah, 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 left, you know? So that's just his opinion. CDT said, my husband knows better than to leave without me tracking his location. LOL, just kidding, right? But I did think that that was a good little, you know, tidbit to give because, right, Brittany, Delphi dude had wife and kids, but his murder, if he's, you know, he's only alleged to be the murderer there. If he is convicted of that, those murders, then, you know, you look at it from a different way, different crime. That was during the day, you know, it could have been way easier for a husband to leave during the day and go do something. Wife's at work, kids at school. This crime, totally different, you know? So in his opinion, he's saying it's going to be someone who was able to move around at night without being questioned, probably. I agree for that does make sense. I think it is a loner, right? A lot of people think that. But then at the same time, we really don't know. We're kind of just guessing because we don't know everything that they know.
With one or more of those victims in that house, or he was stalking one or more of those victims in the house. But there is a relationship between him and that house. Because, frankly, this is an extremely high-risk crime. This is not something that just anybody could pull off, and he had to have some connection in order to get away with this. It's somebody entering an occupied dwelling with 6 adults, any of whom could have had another knife, a gun, or a camera, or a phone, or a way to attack him. In other words, when you're planning a crime, and believe me, mass crimes, mass murders like this are typically planned. When you're planning a crime, you want to make sure that you have the highest probability of actually accomplishing it and getting away. And I think in order to do that, he had to know their schedules. He had to know that they were probably drunk or sound asleep by the time he came into that house.
I talked to some neighbors who live nearby here.
So I thought that that guy had a lot of good points, a lot of stuff that made sense. Oh my gosh, yes, Marco Jinx, this commenter makes the most sense. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you liked it. And for those who joined us later in the stream, we started out with sort of some updates that occurred at 7:30 this morning. And one of those updates was something from the police chief stating that he knows nothing about this front door being left open. So if in case you missed that article, I read through it in the beginning, but pretty much the Moscow police is going to say that he knows nothing about what this woman reporter is about to say. And I know that everyone has seen this, and it's been going around, and she's claiming a neighbor told her that the door was left open that morning. Law enforcement has since day one told us that they had no signs of forced entry, blah, blah, blah. So we were all kind of stunned when this woman said that a neighbor told her that. So I'm curious, for one, who's the neighbor? What's their name? And for two, okay, CDT, I'll check it out. And I did find that bookmark on Twitter too, of the jacket information. So once we get through this, oh no, my phone's dead. Let me plug my phone in and grab some more coffee while I play this. But pretty much, she's saying something, and now police is saying today, as of this morning, Daily Mail article that I read in the beginning, he knows nothing about what this woman's saying. Again, police can lie to us, and I read it word for word so you can hear his exact response, so that you know, like, his verbiage exact. But you know, he was kind of surprised that that was said. And again, he could be lying to protect information for the investigation, you know? So Daily Mail puts him on the spot, and he's kind of like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but maybe he does. Or maybe it is something that's like, what? This neighbor made this up. You know what I mean? So here's another element that's like, what can we follow as factual?
To John a few hours ago, they told me something that was pretty interesting. We've been talking about that backsliding door so much, but the front door, I'm told by a neighbor who walked by that morning who was coming back to his apartment, was wide open around 8:39 a.m. He told me that he gave that information to investigators, but we hadn't heard too much about that front door, and around 8:30 or 9 a.m. would have been a pretty good amount of time before police ever got the call that those students were dead inside. The front door, I'm told by a neighbor who walked by that morning, was wide open around 8:39 a.m. 8:30 or 9 a.m. would have been a pretty good amount of time before police ever got the call that those students were dead inside.
And like I said, who knows what this statement means now? Because now, just as soon as we think we know something new, police come out and say, like, no, actually, it's unrelated. I'm so glad you're here, day one. I'm glad you liked the coverage. So let me pull up. My phone is charging, so I haven't seen, CDT, what you sent me in private message yet. But let me pull up that Twitter video about the jacket, and we'll look at that. And then we'll look at Inside Edition's little segment that they did recently. I thought it had good information in it. And then the court TV stuff. I don't know if we'll get through the entire court TV stuff, but I will watch some of it with you guys, okay? Because I like to keep these things under 2 hours. But thank you guys so much for being here. Let me switch up my screen. And thank you to the moderators. I really appreciate all your guys' hard work. And I appreciate you guys listening even after the trolls came in. So thanks for sticking around. Can you guys see the Twitter screen? I think it's sharing, right? Hold on, let me pull this comment off. Thank you, C-Dub. I appreciate you. And yes, Delana is amazing. All right. So this was something that CDT found this morning. They pick it up, look at it, then put it back. So I'm watching this for the first time with you guys. This was posted December 8th at 4:11. Fox News on it. So it's not for a fact a jacket, CDT, it's just speculation or what? And where exactly is the fire hydrant in relation to the house? I'm trying to like visualize it in my head. Oh, okay, Corey's seen this yesterday. Well, I hadn't seen this. But what the heck, guys? That is interesting. That is absolutely, that could be something. That 100% could be something. I mean, it's really not that often that people leave jackets, right? I mean, every now and then, I don't know about you guys, but you see like a shoe. Do you ever see like a shoe like on a highway or something? You're like, how did that? Or like a sock. But jackets, interesting. Thank you so much. It's 1 a.m. here, but I like your channel so much. I don't mind staying up. Thank you. That's so sweet. That means a lot. And yeah, we are glad you're here. What the heck? Yeah, exactly, Jesse. What's going on? Yeah, they look like feds to me, but I don't know. I can't see their, oh wait, no, it says police. Why would CDT agrees about the finding shoes and socks randomly? Why would they put it back on the ground? I think just to keep it where they found it, like maybe kind of put it so they could take a picture. I don't know. Weird they just put it back and walked away. Like what? Yeah. I'm hoping. I mean, who stuck around? When was this video taken? So it was posted at 4:11 yesterday. I'm not sure where Fox News got it or where this person or where Fox News has this, like in an article maybe. People are wondering why they put it back. Sorry, just scrolling through, guys. Look at this. Now, I don't know what this is a response to somebody, but this is pretty much how this sums up the live stream for me this morning after the trolls came in. Oh gosh. Okay. So let me switch up the screen. That's interesting that this is older footage, CDT said, but recirculating because people think it could be a jacket. Thank you for clarifying that, and that makes sense because there's less snow. So that definitely makes sense. Thank you for clarifying that, CDT. So I'm hoping and assuming that they took it. I really, really am. Very odd, everyone's saying. Okay. Amber's now a smoker, right. 100s too. Alrighty. So let me share my screen a little bit. And thank you all for being here. We will do another update live stream like on Monday. I'll just obviously collect all the updates this weekend if there are any, or just interesting tidbits. And then we'll do the same format that we did here today and earlier this week of just highlights and a discussion. So this first segment, half of the segment, speaks about the punch codes and how allegedly every room had one in the house. We haven't heard that confirmed by police, but it seems like accurate information. And he was just saying how they're very reliable, etc. And then this other half of this, I wanted to play.
all the time.
Hey, Moscow Police, come back here.
Meanwhile, Inside Edition has obtained this body cam video taken on the night of the murders, a short distance from the house.
It's one thing to drink in an apartment where no one can see you. It's another thing for us to drive by and see you guys absolutely stumbling down the road.
3 freshmen were cited for underage drinking. Note the time, 3:15 a.m. Police say the murders could have been taking place at that very moment. The 3 were cited near the Sigma Chi fraternity, where Ethan Chapin and Zaina Kernodal attended a party.
And they just said that video footage took place right when the murders could have been happening. So then release it to all of us and let us see the entire thing if it's unrelated. And, you know, there could be something, and although maybe there's something that they want to hold close to their vest, I guess, you know what I mean? But yeah, CDT, that's a good idea to have that image up when the trolls come in. Too funny.
Look how close it is to the murder house. And look at this. A poignant moment today as police carry boxes of the victims' belongings from inside the house to a U-Haul truck to return them to their grieving families.
So Jeanette is saying a Fox News reporter laid his jacket by the hydrant. Is that 100% true, or is that just what you think it could be? Thank you, Day One. I appreciate that. Okay, so now let's get to Court TV. Again, I haven't watched this yet, so I was hoping to watch it. Wow, that's really lucky number in here, 1111. Thank you all for being here. So I don't know if I'll get through all of this, but I haven't watched it yet, and I like watching Vinny on Court TV with you guys in the morning. So thank you for watching thus far. Please hit the like if you haven't, and let's watch this. I'm gonna speed it up to 1.25. It's still able to hear well, so that's usually what we do anyways, if you guys are familiar. So we'll get through this.
I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and in the next
After this commercial.
Control.
Sorry, guys.
What if you try?
So much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments, and in the next hour, we're going to take a closer look at what's happening and all the latest in the investigation into the murder of those 4 students from the University of Idaho. And let's begin with the question: who did it? Who did it? You know, here we are. This happened November 13th. We still don't know the answer to that question, and it's a big question. It may be a difficult question to answer. Investigators are not giving us a ton of information for obvious reasons. It's part of the investigation. They release what they want to release to help get an answer to this question, anything that will provide more leads, more tips, more information. And when you think about this case, I think we've got to go back a step tonight and go backwards a little bit and say, okay, where were they? Where were they that night? Maddie and Kaylee. Where did they go? Who did they interact with? What did they do? We know they were at a bar first. They were at a bar that night. And to me, there's a lot of information that could potentially be gleaned from that bar. Do they have surveillance video? Were there people there taking pictures? Who was there? And then what happened to the food truck? The food truck, thank goodness, streaming video and audio of what was taking place at that food truck. And that is another part of all of this. And at the food truck, of course, everyone in the beginning was always talking about Hoodie Guy. And Hoodie Guy has been cleared by police. But tonight, I think we need to take a closer look at Hoodie Guy, just to get a better idea of what was going on at that food truck and exactly what is his relationship to Maddie and Kaylee.
Isn't it funny that Vinny's calling him Hoodie Guy like we all do? Like, we haven't really heard News Nation or other people call him Hoodie Guy, but Vinny's just like calling him Hoodie Guy like us.
Did they bump into each other at the bar? Did he follow him there? Did they walk with him? They were walking near him. And did they say anything to him? What did they say at that food truck? Because as I mentioned, there's audio. Now, the microphones for this audio are really focused on the guys who are working in the food truck. It's their live stream, and they did it all the time. But the microphone is picking up sounds from everywhere. So what I'm going to do is play a little piece of that food truck video. And I want you to listen to the audio as you watch Maddie and you take a look at at Kaylee and the hoodie guy, their voices are in the background. Again, the main voices you're hearing in this video are going to be the guys working in the food truck, because that's where the microphones are, but they also pick up some of the background noise. So listen closely for that background noise. What is it that Maddie is saying, and who is she saying it to in the
Now, again, this is a older report. This is, I believe, from Wednesday, but I hadn't watched it yet, and we're just doing some updates since we last spoke Wednesday morning. So that I just wanted to clarify that everyone's kind of like picked apart this audio already. In fact, CDT on her channel, she came out with this audio before mainstream and all that. So props to CDT for discovering this whole exchange with Maddie. Again, we don't know the context of what Maddie is saying that about. You know what I mean? Was she playing around or whatever? But I just think that it's still an interesting element. And I think that we all want to hear a little bit more from Joe, the guy in the beard, about what went on there. And everything that he kind of told us about what went on there, to me, just seemed embellished, unfortunately. So I don't even know if his account of what took place is reliable or important, but I do think that he could explain this whole exchange maybe for us.
The video. Let's take a look and let's take a listen.
So you sitting down all night Friday night?
I mean, that was a solid rush. It's a good thing that it ended, but this is Friday and Saturday in a row that got you down around 1, so I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, guys.
Extra slow in a second.
We had to beep it. It's a word we can't say on television. That's what we heard. That's what we heard. And the pointing. And there's, hoodie guys there with another guy.
Sorry, I don't want to get off topic. Just too quick, but Boo Boo Kitty Meow. Are you talking about Daria, the older show on MTV? Because I love Daria. Is that what you're talking about?
What exactly is going on in that interaction? How significant is it? Again, he's been cleared publicly by investigators in this case. But we're going to go back. I mean, I think it's a point in time where we can go back and take a closer look at what we looked at when this case first broke. So let's bring in tonight's guests. Joining me in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI Special Agent Bobby Chacon. In Salt Lake City.
Thank you so much. I literally love Daria. In fact, I almost got a shirt that says Sick Sad World, the show that she would watch on the on the TV. That's such a good show. And thank you guys for being here and interacting in chat and on replay. I actually own combat boots too. So maybe one day I'll just do a whole Daria getup for you guys.
Utah, private investigator Jason Jensen, and a New York City psychotherapist and host of Talking Live on Facebook Watch and the Bite Side podcast, Dr. Robbie Ludwig is with us. Great to have everyone here. Bobby, we're going backwards tonight a little bit, revisiting, because these are the last images that we know of Maddie and Kaylee alive that night. And at the top, I set this up, who are we looking for? From my perspective, you want to look at, anyone that they were interacting with that night. Right? That's an obvious place to look. And it seemed from that little piece of the video in the background, something was happening between Kaylee, Maddie, and hoodie guy and the guy she was standing next to, because she drops a word that we can't say on television. And I'm wondering how significant that is, and pair that with the fact that he's been publicly cleared by investigators.
Yeah, but it's difficult because even further on in the video, when the girls ultimately leave, he leaves right away too, and he seems to be watching them leave, and he leaves in the same general direction. The problem is these are at a time in young people's lives when they're developing romantic relationships or social relationships. They have freedom sometimes for the first time in their lives, and they behave in certain ways that seem a little odd for us, a little forward, a little aggressive, a little awkward, whatever it be. These young adults are in that period of their life. So what we may be interpreting on this video, I trust investigators. They looked at it, they talked to him, maybe he had an alibi, maybe whatever made them comfortable in ruling him out. Sure, on the surface, it does look a little strange, particularly knowing what happened to these two girls just a few hours later. But remember, this is a time in young people's lives when they are maybe not acting as they did when they were much younger, or they do when they mature as adults. So, I trust the investigators. They had a strong look at this guy and they ruled him out. I don't know what basis they ruled him out on, but certainly based on this video, I'm sure they took a hard look at him.
You'd have to, Jason, because this is, again, the last image is close in time to when the murder takes place, and he's there. I mean, right now we're looking at him, and he's there on one side. They move, he moves. But there is an acknowledgement by Maddie of him, or both of them, the two guys that are behind, because she does turn and say something. Let's play it one more time, Jason. Again, the voices you hear in the forefront of the audio are the guys in the truck who are making the food. Listen to the background.
So we get you sitting down on Friday nights.
I mean, that was a solid rush. It's a good thing that it ended, but this is Friday, Saturday in a row that got you down round 1. So I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot, guys.
Just hold on a second.
I think so too, Lala.
What did you notice there? Anything?
Let me just pause it real quick. The school is covering this case up. I'm afraid that could be a real possibility. I don't know if it's 100% the truth, but I think it's a real possibility.
Well, you can see from their body movements, Maddie points over to the guy and saying something back. That guy is sitting next to the bearded guy with the ball cap. That certainly would be somebody I would want to talk to see what the context of the conversation was like. Because, when you're a college student fresh away from your parents, F-bombs are pretty common because, you're like Bobby said, you're developing your social skills. You're kind of more forward, and you're more colorful with your language at that time. Certainly they're not moms and dads at that moment, so they're not worried about what the kids are going to hear. But definitely something's going on there. And there was a Daily Mail story where the guy with the beard and the ball cap actually defended Hoodie Guy and said that he followed them from the bar. He felt like he had good vibe from him and that there was good intentions, that he was just making sure that they got home safely because they were both inebriated. And he said that he probably thought he had amorous intentions. Well, that's pretty common, college age, leaving the bar, you're hoping to get lucky. So it's common that someone's going to try and pick up a couple drunk girls on their way home, thinking that they have a chance. So it's not uncommon. But we also know that many times in these scenarios, leaving the bar is when somebody's most vulnerable, where there are rapes and there are murders. So it's definitely something worth looking into.
Dr. Robbie Ludwig, after that verbal exchange and the pointing by Maddie, I know Kaylee doesn't seem to be concerned or worried. I don't see any fear there.
Yeah, it didn't seem like there was fear. It almost sounds like this was a normal occurrence. They were very pretty girls. I'm sure they were used to having men like them.
That's a good point. Get out of the window, Gladys says. I think he was hanging around thinking there could be an after party at their house. And he's just kind of waiting for an invite, hoping for one. I think that's a good possibility for sure.
Or try to pick them up. And it seemed like they were pretty comfortable with that. Like they were able to decide who they wanted to be with and who they wanted to blow off and felt comfortable with that. I'd be interested in really understanding why Hoodie Guy was dismissed as a potential person of interest. I'd be curious to understand more about.
I think that's a possibility, House Huddle. I think that we need to keep everything up on the table until they have a suspect or whatever named. She said the House, any suggestion it could have been a professor at the college. I think that's, not out of the realm of possibilities. Would a professor, let's say if that vehicle was the assailant, would a professor be driving a 2011, 2013 Hyundai? That's the other thing. And who knows if that vehicle is linked to the murderer or if it's just a witness to it. You know what I mean? So it's just all these different elements that you kind of just have to play out because we don't have any certainties. Yeah, people are just throwing darts now. Right. Well, that's all we can really do until we have more solid information. House Huddle said, yep, that's debt-free, LOL. What, him driving the older vehicle? I mean, you're 100% right. Could be someone who's, frugal or like you said, it's still running. So who cares? Anything is possible. Exactly. Yep. He probably owns it, right, Brittany? He's paid it off. I mean, that definitely could be a possibility, guys. We're leaving it on the table.
that. But it's very possible he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and it happened to be videotaped.
Well, let's take a look now, and we'll go back a little further. When they first arrive at the food truck, we've got some video to look at. Let's put that up on the screen, and we can see has the hoodie guy seems to be walking very closely to one of them. Watch his feet, and he kind of turns away there, and they walk away, and he's standing in the background there. And then, I don't know, could be a little chilly, so you can't have your hat backwards with your hood up. So you turn your hat around, you put your hood up. Could be because it's cold. I don't know. Anything about that arrival?
I love how Vinny's like, could be because it's cold. I don't know. I don't know. He's just funny. Thank you so much, Mike, for the super chat. Even though you didn't send a message, I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And thank you so much for all your support for the channel. We really appreciate you being around and your comments and chat. So we're all hoping that you have a great holiday. And thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel. I really appreciate you.
Bobby, and the way he's kind of back, kind of just, watching him.
Well, I mean, when they first arrived, like you said, he's really close to her. I mean, he almost bumps into her. I mean, he's only inches away when the video first starts, when they first come into frame. And then he's clearly like pacing back and forth. Like you said, he changes he's what we call furtive movement. He seems a little.
And that's the thing, Lala. He does look at the camera. He definitely looks at the camera.
I don't know if he's nervous, but he's fidgeting with his hands in his pockets. He fidgets with his hat and his hood. And then he doesn't seem to buy anything. He seems to be not waiting for food or waiting in line. He seems to just be right there. You see where he's really close to her at that point. And clearly he's right behind them. He's looking at them. Again, he doesn't. These other guys in the foreground seem to have ordered their food. Maybe they're waiting for the food. They're interacting, but he's not talking to anyone per se. Right. And he puts his hood up there, and he's just walking back and forth furtively. This alone would make me take a strong look at him, as investigators apparently have.
And Jason, the other thing people are pointing out, and we haven't had it in a little bit of slow motion, but does he when he comes in, it almost looks like he looks into the camera lens before putting the hoodie on. And I don't know if we're reading too much into it, but it was sort of coincidental that he was glancing towards the camera, kind of like this, and then the switcherooski happens at that moment. Let's watch. Here it is, Jason. What do you think? And I think he just glanced. He could just be looking at the food truck, but it was towards the lens, Jason.
Right, Vinny. This is what you call camera aware. If he was reacting to the fact that there's camera recording, yeah, he's concealing himself. He's keeping a safe distance. He's hoping that there will be no way to identify him if he's got bad intentions. Now, it could just be a coincidence. He walked in, he kind of has like a bodyguard posture. He's close to the girls. He stands back to keep an overview of all the activities while the girls are ordering their food. But yeah, you can interpret that's one of those two.
He seems pretty sober too. I mean, it's hard to tell, but you would think that if he was drinking, he'd be more social. Like he'd be socializing with the groups more. Like, why is he just so like secluded? Like, no matter how many times I look at this, it just looks very weird. It just looks not right. Just strange. He's just not socializing at all.
Two ways, either that he's trying to stay away from camera view or that he's there to protect them because he wants to make sure they get home safely. When that's really where the guy with the beard and the ball cap really takes that position, that he was there with good intentions and that he was at the bar earlier, the corner club and they saw the girls there and saw all the guys had interest in him. So, is he a guy just trying to make sure they get home safely? Or, did he have other intentions after they left here on their way to their home?
Yeah, the last situation I covered with someone who was trying to get someone home safely in a college case was the Kristen Smart, and it ended up being the killer. Now, this guy's been cleared, but he's making sure people that these two young women get home safely, yet they did get home safely, but then they were murdered. It's
right.
Yeah, Dr. Robbie, here we go. I want to show now the end part of the video. And this is the part, again, Bobby was talking about it. Everyone's been talking about it. They get their food, Maddie and Kaylee. They're doing something with their phone. They're laughing. They're giggling. There you see the hoodie guy behind them talking with the other gentleman with the ball cap. And they're laughing. So, I mean, they're communicating back and forth. They're not paying a lot of attention right now necessarily to Maddie and Kaylee. He's kind of turned away from them. They're taking some sort of a selfie, it looks like, or a picture of her getting the food. I don't know. Investigators should know, but as soon as they get the food, his back is turned, they're gone, and then his friend points that they're gone, and he's like, hey, where'd you go?
And it's interesting too, and thank you so much for the super chat. Your hair is so pretty. It like matches the blue super chat. Looks so cool. Thank you so much. Hoodie guy isn't a random guy. He's well-known rich kid. And money talks, right? But you know, here when the girls leave and his back is turned, like they were just saying, and then Joe points, you know, like Joe must have known that he was hoping to go with them. Like, what was that whole exchange about? You know what I mean? Like, because if there wasn't anything going on, why would Joe feel the need to be like, there they go? Like, Joe must have been in some assumption that they were all going to hang out too, maybe. I don't know. It's just very strange that Joe took it upon himself to let Hoodie Guy know, like, they left ya. So why? And thank you, Roxanne. I appreciate that. Very strange.
And he's off. He cuts to the left, and then it looks like there he may even have waved to them or acknowledged them, and then he's off to the right.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, it's kind of like Monday, what is it called? Monday back quarterbacking or
Monday morning.
whatever it is.
Monday morning.
You can tell I don't watch football. But it almost seems like, I don't know, I look at this kid and I'm like, well, he could have been drunk. He could have been stoned. He could have been attracted to these women and he was looking to find a way to connect with them. And who knows why he walked in that direction. Maybe he wanted to interact with them without having other men around. It's really hard to know. And I'm sure there are many college guys who could look at this hoodie guy and say, you know, I've been there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And thank you again for the super chat. Thank you. Maybe he feels entitled. I mean, if he's the profile that we're saying that he is, you know, he definitely could feel entitled. We don't know that 100%. I don't want to throw this guy 100% under the bus, but I mean, so far it's seeming like that's the profile of this individual. Just from everything that's been going around, people who are from the area have confirmed his family's ties and them being up as far as in the community, etc. I don't know, guys. It's just time will tell, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
I've certainly acted like that. So
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've witnessed it myself. Yeah, you bump into someone, you make a play, nothing happens, and then you're just waiting to see if there's that last chance. But here's what I want to read to you, though.
I have a hard time believing that Vinny had a hard time with picking up girls or whatever he's trying to relate with Hoodie Guy about. But CDT, I am looking at the private messages. Sorry, that whole time my phone wasn't plugged in when I thought it was.
This was the interview done in the New York Post with Kaylee's father, Steve Goncalves. He said he admitted that he also fears that a hoodie-wearing man spotted lingering near his daughter and her best friend, Madison Mogan, also 21, was ruled out too quickly for killing the pair and their two friends. Some people came to us and said that he's out of the country. He didn't take the DNA test, he said. So let me ask you this, Bobby Chacon. If this is true, and I have no idea, the father thinks that he might be out of the country. I don't know where he is. But if he was a student at the University of Idaho and the semester's not over and he is now out of the United States of America and you had cleared him, would you take a second look at him?
Well, it depends on how we cleared him, right? So if he had an airtight alibi and he had video evidence or some outstanding piece of circumstance that cleared him, then no, I wouldn't take a second look at it because we've got definitive proof that he's not the guy. If, you know, and I'm pretty sure that with the pressure and the publicity and the focus on this case nationwide, the police are not going to rule out anybody too quickly. I'm sure when they made a public pronouncement that they cleared this guy, they were very, very convinced that this guy was not their guy because there's so
one more question though, Bobby, one more question, follow up on that. Is there ever an investigative reason to publicly rule someone out, even though, as investigators, you haven't really ruled them out?
Well, that would be a strategic investigative avenue if there was some reason to do that, if you want to see what his behavior is like after. Because remember, publicly pronouncing him cleared is not a legal determination. It doesn't tie them in any legal. Now, of course, the defense attorney later on might use that against them to undermine, but it's not legally binding on the police just because they say he's been cleared. It's not legally binding in any way. They can always go back to him. So you could do something like that and then see what his behavior is afterwards. But also, you're very careful because this person has gotten such intense scrutiny in the media now. You want to be careful not to Richard Jewell him. You want to be careful not to ruin his life with intense media publicity like the FBI did in the Richard Jewell case. And that's probably why they haven't said it. If he wants to come out, he's free to come out to the media and say, but the police should not name him. If he's not a suspect, they should not, again, take the chance of ruining this guy's life and have everybody jump on him. And all these podcasters start to look into his background and do their own investigation of him, because it could lead to negative consequences for somebody that's not guilty of anything.
Absolutely. And Richard Jewell.
And I do want to make a point to say that even though we have kind of honed in on him, because obviously he's right there in the footage, I do want to say that everything that we've discussed about him thus far has only been speculation. It's just our opinion. And we believe fully here in this channel that everyone's innocent until proven guilty. But we also believe on this channel to follow our gut instincts. And something's just strange by this CCTV footage at the food truck. And hello, Pink Dahlia. So glad you made it. Okay, guys, I don't know. I think I'm going to end things because I don't like to go too far over on the time. And I do have to get my little one ready and all that for the day. So we can continue this discussion on Monday. And I will gather up the highlights this weekend, if there are any, or whatever ends up coming out. And all the updates thus far were in the beginning of the stream. So if you missed some of those updates, including the police chief coming out with his statements about the car and the body cam footage, he also made a statement about the rumor that's going around that a neighbor said a front door was left open around 8:30 to 9:30. He's claiming he didn't know anything about that. So all of that stuff will be in the beginning of the stream. And then it just progresses back to the last time we spoke, which was on Wednesday, which was when this came out on Court TV. So thank you all for being here. Again, we will talk very soon. And yes, you took the words right out of my mouth, Jesse. I hope everyone has a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your day. And again, I can't thank you guys enough for going through everything with me. Please hit the like if you haven't done so already. And we'll talk very soon, everyone, okay? Bye-bye.